Hey everyone, Michael here. Hope you guys are having an amazing holiday weekend. Today I want to let you guys know why I'm buying Bitcoin over the next few months and why I believe in it so much. And to do that, I'm going to show you guys a few good videos here from Twitter, some funny, some really informative. That way you guys know why I'm actually investing so much money into Bitcoin, even though the price is most likely going to go down a lot in 2023. Let's get started.
Chairman Crapo, Ranking Member Brown, members of the committee.
This is an
Thank you for the
amazing
opportunity
speech.
to speak with you today. My name is Peter Van Valkenburg, and I'm the Director of Research at Coin Center, an independent nonprofit focused on the public policy issues affecting cryptocurrency and public blockchain networks. What is Bitcoin? Bitcoin is the world's first cryptocurrency, and it works because of the world's first public blockchain network. What does Bitcoin do? It's simple. It lets you send and receive value to and from anyone in the world using nothing more than a computer and an internet connection. Now, why is it revolutionary? Because unlike every other tool for sending money over the internet, it works without the need to trust a middleman. The lack of any corporation in between means that Bitcoin is the world's first public digital payments infrastructure. And by public, I simply mean available to all and not owned by any single entity. Now, we have public infrastructure for information, for websites, for email. It's called the internet. But the only public payments infrastructure that we have is cash, as in paper money. And it only works in face-to-face transactions. Before Bitcoin, if you wanted to pay someone remotely over the phone or the internet, then you could not use public infrastructure. You would rely on a private bank to open their books and add a ledger entry that debits you and credits the person you're paying. And if you both don't use the same bank, well, then there'll be multiple banks and multiple ledger entries in between. With Bitcoin, the ledger is the public blockchain, and anyone can add an entry to that ledger, transferring their Bitcoins to someone else. And anyone, regardless of their nationality, race, religion, gender, sex, or creditworthiness, can for absolutely no cost create a Bitcoin address in order to receive payments digitally. Bitcoin is the world's first globally accessible public money. Is it perfect? No. Neither was email when it was invented in 1972. Bitcoin's not the best money on every margin. It's not yet accepted everywhere. It's not used often to quote prices, and it's not always a stable store of value. But it is working, and the mere fact that it works without trusted intermediaries is amazing. It's a computer science breakthrough, and it will be as significant for freedom, prosperity, and human flourishing as the birth of the internet. And Bitcoin is just the beginning. If we can replace private payments infrastructure, then we can replace other private choke points to human interaction as well. Now, why should we want to build more public infrastructure? Why should we embrace blockchains over corporate intermediaries? Why should we tolerate their inefficiencies and work to make them better? Why should we want the pioneers of this technology here in the United States and not fleeing overseas? A simple reason. Because the corporate intermediaries providing today's critical but privately owned infrastructure are becoming fewer, larger, and more powerful, and their failures are increasingly grave. So roughly half of all Americans, 143 million people, had their Social Security numbers exposed to hackers because of a breach at Equifax. The SWIFT network has relayed hundreds of millions of dollars in fraudulent transactions because of hacked member banks in Bangladesh, Vietnam, Ecuador, and Russia. The FBI suspects now that the largest of these hacks was perpetrated by North Korea. Corrupt, low-level employees at an Indian bank, Punjab National, were able to fraudulently certify SWIFT messages stealing $1.8 billion. It's the largest electronic bank robbery in history. In fact, it's the largest bank robbery in history. In October 2016, an estimated 1.2 million internet-connected devices were hacked and turned into a botnet that for several hours made prominent websites unavailable across Europe and North America, including CNN and Fox News, the New York Times, and the Wall Street Journal. Increasingly, physical machines are being connected to the internet to augment their capabilities. They're wired through servers that are owned and maintained by private and trusted intermediaries, the so-called Internet of Things. Pacemakers from St. Jude's Hospital have been hacked. Baby monitors from TrendNet have been hacked. And Jeeps from Jeep have been hacked to the point where they can be remotely commandeered and driven off the road. Now, those vulnerabilities are inescapable in systems that have single points of failure. It doesn't matter if the point of failure is a corporation or if it's a government. There shouldn't be a single point of failure. Similar choke points existed before the internet.
Why is it so
If you
mad?
wanted to deliver a message, you'd have to go through one of 3 television broadcasters or a handful of newspapers. Private corporations are essential, but no critical infrastructure should rely on 1 or 2. The internet removed single points of failure in communications infrastructure and ushered in a wave of competition among new media corporations building on top of its public rails. Blockchains can similarly disintermediate critical payments and IoT infrastructure. The technology is not yet ready to answer all of those questions today, but it is our best hope. And as with the internet in the 1990s, we need a light-touch, pro-innovation policy to ensure that these innovations flourish in America for the benefit and security of all Americans.
Now, wasn't that a great speech? And on top of that, even going back then, you could tell that the senators had no idea what he was talking about at all. Some weren't paying attention, some were just looking like flabbergasted. And that's okay, time is moving on. I think they're starting to understand it even more. But within that, you could see a lot of threats to the current banking system and why they may be so mad. Think of Wells Fargo. They scammed people out again, multiple times they've been scamming people. And multiple times the government's just given them a slap on the wrist. So where the fine hasn't been as much as the money they've been able to recoup from it. So, this is another reason why I'm buying Bitcoin, because I know the blockchain and other blockchains out there like Solana, a lot of them out there, Polygon, Matic, right? Those are going to flourish over the next 50 years, and I want to get in at the bottom of it. Let's watch another one here. This is Mark Cuban talking with Bill Maher and just kind of saying, friendly way, buy Bitcoin because gold isn't really doing anything. And as somebody that owns gold, it really has not been doing anything.
No.
Like, would you buy gold as an investment?
I have gold.
Okay.
Everybody likes to
You know what? If you have gold, you're dumb as fuck.
Well, I mean, it never... It's a small part. It's like a hedge against everything else.
It's a hedgement against everything, but
That's
Yes, it
Bitcoin.
is.
No, and-
Would I be
but it's
all
not
in
a hedge-
gold? No.
No, but it's not a hedge against anything, right? What it is
Well,
a store of value, and you don't
Yeah.
own the physical gold, do you?
No, of course. Well, I don't. Who the fuck knows?
Oh, uh-oh. I slid down.
Anything, right? What it is
Well,
a store of value, and you don't
Yeah.
own the physical gold, do you?
No, of course. Well, I don't. Who the fuck knows? What I know is that it never goes away. It's always worth something. You can always sell it.
Just like
And
Bitcoin, gold is a store of value, and so is Bitcoin.
That is an apt analogy.
Because you don't hold the gold.
But the world is not run by gold. No.
There's one, and here's another one that's a little bit faster. Sorry, Loki's over here trying to be a little bit of a brat.
Simply flooded the system with money.
Yes.
Yes, we did.
So to lend to a bank, we simply use the computer to mark up the size of the account that they have with the Fed. So it's much more akin, although not exactly the same, but it's much more akin to printing money than it is to borrowing.
You've been printing money.
Well, effectively.
Where does it come from? Do you just print it?
We print it digitally. So we as a central bank, we have the ability to create money digitally.
Flooding the system with money.
Yes, exactly.
And there's no end to your ability to do that.
There is no end to our ability to do that.
You simply flooded the system with money.
Right. This is why the dollar is going to keep depreciating in value. We have inflation around 7% right now. It's going to stay high for a while, everybody. And then on top of that, there's no certainty that the dollar is ever going to try to go back down to 2%. People are saying it's never going to go back to 2% within the next 5 years. The value of the dollar is going to continue to go down. And while Bitcoin may be volatile, if you just hold on to it, the price is going to continue to skyrocket. Even if Bitcoin hits $10,000, even if it hits $5,000, something crazy like that, I would still be buying because I know after the next halving, once the market economy, starts to pick back up, it is going to start to soar and do some amazing things and give me a better return on my capital than if I just left it in my bank or I put it in stocks like, an Apple or something like that, which I do. But, Bitcoin is going to outperform that. I believe Dogecoin is going to outperform that. I believe Solana and a lot of these other plays out here are going to outperform it as long as a lot of these major exchanges stay up and running. But that's it, everybody. Hope you guys have an amazing rest of your year. Guys, keep buying Bitcoin. That's what I'm doing. And of course, it's up to you guys if you want to buy. Most of you guys are buying stuff other than Bitcoin like Ethereum, and that's all good. Keep buying what you want to buy. Just do it safely. Thanks, everybody.